Dr. Coles, how does our environment affect our mental health? You say we live in a toxic environment. A lot of people would agree with that, but on lots of levels, you say.
Oh, the poisonous stuff that's in the environment is just massive. And a good example that I use, a metaphor, is that we're all downstream from some toxic industry that's contaminating our water supply. We're all downwind from some smokestack that's contaminating the air. We all go to grocery stores that have additives and hormones and pesticides and flavor enhancers that are contaminating the food supply. We're spraying herbicides and pesticides on all the non-organic farms, and that gets into the food, gets into the food chain. Things like DDT and PCBs never lose their power. They're toxic.
They don't break down.
They don't break down for generations, centuries. They don't break down, so they're staying in the supply, in the soil. So the soil is contaminated. And then
how does that affect our mental health?
Yes, when we eat that or breathe that or swallow that in the water or the air or the food, or through our skin. Chlorine goes through the skin when we shower or bathe if the water is chlorinated. And that gets into the bloodstream then, and the blood goes to the brain, goes to the liver, goes everywhere. And so poisons, drugs, whatever, healthy things are in the blood and, as well. But the poisons affect the cells of every single cell of the body. And the stuff that goes to the brain is making that brain different as well in toxic ways, in poisonous ways. So we live in a toxic, just chemically toxic environment. And when our nutrition is also inadequate, eating depleted food, you know, the food we eat is not as healthy as it was when I grew up. We had a backyard garden, and all the food was organic, and you couldn't find toxic food when I grew up. So my brain, your brain hopefully developed on healthy food, and everything in our brain comes from what we eat. You know, and if it's good stuff, the brain will be healthier than it is if there's bad stuff, and so there's that balance.
Well, people used to believe that you didn't need to take supplements as long as you ate a healthy diet, but there aren't a lot of healthy foods around.
Excellent point, yeah. So when we're eating depleted food that's on the grocery stores, and it tastes good and it smells good and it, you know, it's colorful, all these things that make us salivate and wanting to eat more because it's got MSG in it, or NutraSweet or Splenda or some synthetic chemical. We're seduced into thinking this is healthy for us, where it is not. So the food now, which is more factory farmed now, so most of the animals that whose meat we eat are eating off of things that aren't natural in the environment. They're eating corn, which isn't what pasture-fed animals didn't used to have corn, and there's nutritional deficiencies in that kind of diet. So the pigs and the chickens and the cows are eating corn now, which is not natural for them, and so the meat that we're eating from them is now depleted in certain amino acids and other things. So if we're eating depleted food and we're feeding that to our little children, their brains are not going to be as good as they should be, and therefore they're neurologically different, and therefore they're psychologically different.
How do we protect ourselves against the environment?
Yes, and you mentioned the nutritional supplements, I think, are essential unless we're eating organic food totally, paying a lot of attention to ingesting the vitamins and the minerals that are natural in healthy food. If we're not eating wholly organic, then we need to be supplementing that with certain supplements, amino acids, omega-3 fatty acids, a fish oil, flaxseed oil, etc., and minerals, vitamins, and antioxidants that help detoxify. So we're all probably starving. We're all eating nutritionally depleted food, and then it's toxic on top of that. That affects our brains.
Thank you, Dr. Coles.
You're welcome.